Hi, everybody, and welcome to Catalyst of Change. I'm your host, Alexia Cito, and I'm so excited. This is a special episode, okay? So I am here with Baba Rasta Master Amun.
Amun, yeah.
And we literally just encountered each other. We had this like beautiful interaction where one of our guests who's going to be on another episode, Nicole, she introduced us and said, "You have to meet, you have to connect. Like go talk." And I was like, "Okay, so no phones were out. Literally didn't even read a bio intentionally. No socials, nothing. We just encountered each other. It's like, "Wait, do you want to be a guest?" And we just have this like beautiful organic conversation. So thank you for being here. It's an absolute honor. And also thank you for saying yes and just being so open to do this.
Sure. It's a blessing to be here. I'm thankful, Nicole told me a little bit about, your international communications around enlightenment and things of that nature. And I'm like, yeah, sounds like family.
Yeah.
So
For
doing the
sure.
works.
Exactly. Doing the work. And I would love to hear from you when you say that. For you, what is that? What does that mean?
Well, so, I have to start with my childhood, and my grandmother had me in church a lot as a kid. And so the Lord's Prayer comes along with that, right? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Right? So my name, Amun, is a more ancient pronunciation of the word Amen. Right? But doing the work is heaven on earth. Right? And, there's so many ways to activate what that is. What is heaven? What is the difference between heaven and earth? What appears to be common for earthlings? When you communicate with earthlings, are they having what you would call a heavenly experience? So all of these questions can bring about a contrast, a dichotomy around what heaven is or what it's supposed to be. Some people's heaven is, they say heaven is not a place far away, but a place right here, a place that's in you, in your mind, in your spirit, in your expression. So if you put all that together, heaven is a resonance. Heaven is a vibrational state. Some people think it's always a real personal thing. Heaven's all about your person. Not necessarily. I whistle a lot. I understand that whistling is a language. It's actually the bird part of our consciousness. It's already a part of us, right? So I go and I whistle a jazz song, and I already know I'm about to hear someone else start whistling. That person that started whistling doesn't even know consciously that subconsciously they're singing along with me. This is a harmonic point. I perceive that harmony is heaven. It's a feel-good moment. It's a feel-good thing. It can be very conscious, but oftentimes it's really subconscious. But that subconscious sweetness definitely makes it to the surface. And so part of the work is helping that subconscious sweetness become an everyday automatic process for those who could benefit from it. And ultimately we can all benefit from it, like traffic on the road, and everyone driving in a way that makes sense to the flow of traffic. Everybody's supporting the harmony in that way. So there are billions of ways that we can support that harmony. I play my part, sometimes very subtly, other times a little louder, but even the loud things are subtle because you ain't got to be loud to have an impact. So.
Yes, exactly. And the concept of harmony, this is powerful. The one thing I love about harmony is like it doesn't take one note. Like, you need all these different notes to actually make the harmony. So it's like this beautiful, like, cohesion, like, mosaic of life, of like all of us as this oneness, but also like all these unique aspects of the one.
Yes.
And so when you speak about that, also, I'm so intrigued because I was like, did you know that we have a love, peace, harmony song? Because the way that you just jumped into the harmony, I was like, this is cool. Because our founder, Dr. Master Jigong Shah, he received this song on September 10th, 2005. He was walking in the Redwood Forest.
That's one of my favorite songs. I mean, like that date means so much to me. But go ahead.
Wild.
Continue, please.
That is so...
9/10?
Oh, man. So,
major date.
Yeah, so he's walking and he asked, for a song, for healing, for humanity, for the world.
Yes.
And he just started saying like lula li, lula lula la li, lula lula li, lula lula li, lula lula li, lula, which is the soul language for I love my heart and soul. I love all humanity. Join hearts and souls together. Love, peace, and harmony. Love, peace, and harmony. And it's a song. It's a melody. So
I feel it.
You feel it, right?
Yeah, and it aligns very perfectly with the Islamic song of La ilaha illa Allah, right? So all the alignment, the rhythmic presentation of the LA sounds that La ilaha illa Allah, that your song harmonizes with that. La ilaha illa Allah. Right. So these things are already harmonized. And even though we're pulling them from what we think is different places, languages are just sounds.
Yes.
And we've built an ego around all these different languages and the corresponding religions that come along with them. But they're just sounds.
Yes.
And our interpretations of sounds. And hopefully, the word sound has more than one definition, right? Sound is the movement of waves that we perceive with our ears, right? But then sound is something that's stable. So however you're using sounds, are you sound? Are you sound of mind? Are you emotionally sound? So these things work together for that harmony. I thought about as you were saying that, I thought about like Michael Jackson when they brought together all the singers for We Are the World, right? Like we are the world, we are the children, right? And so that was a big song, right? Everybody coming together to sing for like AIDS in Africa and just for the various things that need to be healed around the world. But when I think about Michael Jackson and all the things he internationally expressed for love, right? To me, the real song that was harmonious for some of the racial tensions going on in the U.S. was really Say, Say, Say with him and Paul McCartney because of how automatically catchy it is, how friendly it is. When you see the video for it, of them being like the hustlers in the bar, like the energy of it was playful, but the mood of it, like say, so oftentimes, even though We Are the World was the one that was put out there as the big harmonized world song, it was another song that was done with him and someone as a combination. I feel harmonized and flowed so much easier without saying We Are the World. It was still a song that could resonate for anyone who heard it and felt it. And it could also see like the different world. Like Paul McCartney comes from a different world. Michael Jackson comes from Gary, they come from Gary, Ohio. Yeah, I mean, not Gary, Gary, Indiana. You know what I'm saying? If you've ever been to Gary, Gary rough. You know what I'm saying? So these different dichotomies in the world harmonizing. And being able to pick them up. And, we don't always have the analysis, but we can feel it though, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love those observations. There's a lot of observations that we can get. Some of them they just moved right past us. The old a video that I send all my in Temple of Soul. So I told you we have an Enlightenment Center called Temple of Soul.
Yes.
And one of the videos that I send people often is the video for "Can You Feel It" by the Jacksons. And in the beginning of this video, there is like like the black sun in the sky, and an explosion happens, and the Jacksons jump out of this vortex in the universe, and all of them are giants made of gold. And they're sprinkling gold dust all over the planet Earth. It's a super magical, like it's like Revelations, the video.
It sounds like it.
And I think it might have came out. I think the video might have came out in it might have been like 84 or 83. I don't remember the exact, but it's an old video. But for people who are in the Enlightenment, so-called New Age, dealing with, those alchemical I am type of affirmations, this video was loaded. They were saying so much in what we would call so early. Even though, the 70s gave a lot of that. The 70s going into the 80s gave a lot of those conversations.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, all of these things, little bits and pieces of the harmony that assisted me as a younger person to, get where I'm going.
Yeah. And like, well, you mentioned the 70s. On one of our episodes, one of our guests, we talk about the love generation. He grew up in San Francisco in the 60s, 70s, and the whole like make love, not war, like movement. And, and I'm curious because you're talking about these things that help you to alchemize and become this being that you are today. Like, have you always had this awareness and being in this, consciousness of enlightenment, or is this something that you've developed and you've been through it? How has that evolved through your life?
Well, as a child, I was by myself a lot. And, my mom and dad were just experiencing, their relationship with the world. And, I wasn't a neglected child. I think that my whole family knew that I was kind of already running with an automaticness to be okay, to be all right. And I walked in the forest a lot. I walked the railroad tracks a lot. I walked, as a kid, I walked the railroad tracks by myself so much, miles. And it was meditative for me, and later on, as I started to study different spiritual systems, I realized that the railroads were connected to the crossroads, and there are certain angels and certain gods that are associated with railroad tracks. And I don't wear any of those things like I am this or I am that, but I do keep note because I know that there is qualities to consciousness and why people meditate in certain places, why people find peace and comfort in certain places, and even what type of ancestral memories are being gathered and ordered. Because though we look like people use the word individual. I don't use the word individual. I use the word singularity. We are not individuals. We are singularities. We are the vertex point for a whirlpool of consciousnesses and lives that lead to us. And now it's like we're at the steering wheel, but there's a whole bus full of us with each of us, Yes. And so that type of awareness has been with me since I was a child. And, even with the stargazing and the communion and remembrance of universal life forms, more so than extraterrestrial. It's not a fair word. Ain't nobody extra. Extra? What do you mean extra? Just because something is subtle don't mean it's not here.
Yes.
Just because your cousin isn't home doesn't mean that's not your cousin's house.
Yes.
Still your cousin's house. They just ain't been home for a while. When they come back, they're coming back home. Make sure that the home is well taken care of because your cousins are coming back. And they're here too. They're as here as we remember them. Right. So these type of memories have been with me since I was a child. And then, the humbleness, being in church and asking questions that the adults there weren't prepared to answer. I wasn't mad. I wasn't judging them for not having the answers. They were just telling me, "Listen, I ain't got the answers. Go get them yourself." Okay, I'm going to pray more. I'm going to read more. I'm going to listen better. And, you micro victories stack up for major breakthroughs, So you learn an itty bitty bit. Hold on to that. Some things you don't understand, you don't got to throw it out. Just put it on the side. That's probably going to make sense a little later. It don't make sense right now. But it'll mess around and make sense a little while from now. And I have a great memory. That's another blessing that's come. My children tell me, they're like, "Dad, man, you remember they're like, you remember everything. I don't remember none of that." And I'm like, I can remember things to when I was like 2 years old. Vividly. Like, yeah, uncles, aunts, where they lived, where we went. Sometimes I don't even clearly understand from a raised in America logical standpoint how I understand the context of things that were happening around me at those ages.
Right.
But I understand, So yeah, I've kind of been like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have the Temple of the Soul.
Temple of Soul.
And you have or Temple of Soul.
Yes, Temple of Soul, yes.
And you have, these amazing opportunities to connect with people and support them.
Yes.
So my curiosity is like, having had this awareness throughout your life and, this blessing, or how you would call it, this it's like a gift.
Very much so.
And so how is it now that you're sharing that with others? Do you have methods or practices, or what is like your lineage? Like, what is like the vibe? Like, what do you do? Give us the download.
So there's a lot of aspects to it. I've been a poet for years. And my writing, I haven't released my writing as far as published works yet. I haven't just because, really living in the organic roller coaster. Yeah. I just, I've gotten things to like 98% formatted, but that last 2% has been subject to other things that I'm doing. And so I guess attracting the team that will help get that last part of the baby born. And some of my friends are like, "Man, what are you waiting for?" And then I have other friends that are like, "Man, even though it seems like you could have, would have, should have done this 10, 15 years ago, now's the perfect time." So yeah. I'm humble to that aspect of the process. But so I bring my poetry to surface because it's in my writing, and, different aspects of what I am receiving, what I am studying, come out through my pen and then come out through my performance. So like I have a 77 bar verse called "God is Love."
Wow.
Right. And God is Love is like 70. So like in the hip hop world, 16 bars is how people measure a rap song. It's you 16 bars, hook, 16. Now it's changed a lot because music has changed a lot, especially with the streaming and things. But it used to be 16 hook, 16 hook, 16, and complete the song with a final hook, right? So 77 straight out is kind of rare, and then even ending on an odd number. When I wrote the piece, I didn't write the piece aiming for 77. That came while I was like through it, going through it. But the quality of what's being said in the piece, God is love, and the rhythm is systematic symmetry, sound alchemy, vibrational ether, aquatic imagery, wave chemistry. So like shalom, unknown through tones, Scorpius, metamorphosis. All night I put a fork in this path, right? So it's going very dense. That's something that's something I had to learn over the years, though, is that getting in front of a poetry audience that might be used to hearing more emotional poetry or more personality poetry, still very wise, cleverly communicated art. But when I would get on stage, some people would be like, "Okay, that just all went over my head." But when I would meditate on it, Spirit would be like, keep doing what you're doing, because though it might not be instantaneously popular, you're speaking conscious order and high spiritual vibration to the subconscious. They're hearing you. However, they may be hearing you in a different time.
Right.
So the physical body that's in the room hearing it may be missing it, maybe even judging it. But the subconscious that needs to be fed that frequency, that much harmonic information in one capsule, it's still the right medicine that person may have never heard. And then later on in their path, a fragment of it will come to them. And they might not know why it fits as well. It's fitting well because you were given the download earlier.
Yes.
You know, and so that's one way, right? Then there's the exercise part, right? Like a big part of what we share is like many things we go through as humans can be balanced out with bare feet on the earth, face to the sun.
Oh, yes.
Bare feet on the earth, face to the stars, right? Like we eat sunlight, we eat starlight. You know, remembering the universal being. Well, how about paying attention to the universe and taking a time out from man-made things? Because you know, I love technology. I love, you know, I love the lights. I love that, but the universe was already efficient. You know, so the things that can be remembered and even gathered in great soulful excitement, to be excited from the soul, like from the inside out, showing up excited. You know, a lot of the medicines people are taking for their moods. How about staying still, bare feet to the earth, face to the sun, bare feet to the earth, face to the stars, breathe it, you know, inhaling Orion, you know? So these are some of another aspect to the exercise, you know. Then there's some Tai Chi and Qigongish aspects, you know, overstanding circular movement, and just allowing the body to get used to these aspects of harmony, you know, because we live inside these spaceships. Give them that joy, give them the dance, you know. Yeah, so many things, you know, changing the way we use the English language for those of us that are English speaking people, you know, like I don't use the word once.
What's the?
I speak that I would like to have. Because once stimulates desire. Just because you desire something does not mean that it's coming. But you know what is coming? More desire.
Yes.
And then the whole so I teach several classes, but one of them is called Chemical Universe. And a big aspect of Chemical Universe is the science of words. So we know that the word once can be spelled more than one way. It can be spelled WANTS, and it can be spelled ONCE. So oftentimes people are caught up in their once. You're caught up in your wants. You're trying to get a feeling that you already had. So isn't this the foundation of addiction? So now when we see people consumed in their wants, people go from attraction to obsession and obsession to addiction. Whereas when you affirm that you would like to have something, now you're affirming both the truth that you like something and you already see yourself in possession of it. Whew, that sounds like a manifestation key.
I would like to attend your course.
Yes.
I would really like to attend your course.
You know what I'm saying? So those are manifestation keys. Wow. So, the power of speaking things into manifestation.
Yes.
So there's a lot of things. Like I've been doing it, for over 20 years, So my personal graduation through understanding self as a singularity is a big part of it. Because when I'm communicating with other people, there's an idea of he thinks that he's, and all of these things that are statements that sound very individual. I am the universe. I'm a conduit for universal inspiration and universal information. So I'm doing my best. I'm just like everyone else. I'm doing my best. However, consistent exercise brings about strengthening results. So, how strong I don't know how strong I am. I just know that I'm sharing, and I've been sharing for quite some time, and great insights have come along with the listening process and being ready to do the work. Going back to the top of the conversation, being ready to do the work. They say to whom much is given, much is required. Right? We know that the word query, require, requery, connected to inquire, inquire. So all of this is connected to queries, being on a quest, right? What is it? Inquiry, asking questions. What are ions on a quest? What is an ion? An atom seeking balance by either giving or receiving something to make an ionic or covalent bond. So we are all looking at these things to make bonds, make connections, to feel connected. Nobody likes feeling alone. Everybody is seeking all oneness, seeking in the all to find their harmony, to find their oneness, right? And then the word one can be spelled more than one way. It can be spelled O-N-E, or it can be spelled W-O-N. Nobody wants to be a loser. Everybody wants to feel like they won. So these are the things. These are the temple of soul tones of communication. And the word one is in tone. So there's so much that once you start to go on that path, and the harmony is a beautiful feeling. Like when you get it, you got it, and you're on it, you become a wave rider to that degree. You really do sense, see, and feel reality changing around you. It's really, 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 it's really fun. And you don't really worry about the world as much, so some of those conversations we catch on YouTube where people are talking about parallel earths and things like that, it's not a brain buster. You'd be like, I can dig it. How do I know? Because I am. That's how I know. All the comparison for what? Who would I be asking? Start with being. Start with being. The confirmation will come along with you. The whirlpool supports the singularity. So.
Well, as you are speaking, I am seeing that reality shifting and feeling it, which is awesome. So I'm just like taking it in. I'm sure people, the viewers and the listeners, can also feel it, like the frequency and the vibration and the whirlpool coming into the singularity. I feel it. And I feel the shifting of the consciousness, right? And the shifting of the subconsciousness, and just like all of the dimensions of what you're bringing forward. And I love how you also brought forward like all the different dimensions that exist within this moment.
Yes.
Like you said, speaking. And I feel like a lot of times it's very common to be in this moment and looking for gratification, looking for validation, people looking for something immediate to feel like I did a good job, or this is positive, or some kind of validation. And sometimes even when we're doing something that is in alignment, that this person needs to receive, or that there's a message coming through, like you're sharing about this, the 77 verse.
Sure.
And delivering that information.
Yes.
And maybe we don't get that validation or response in that moment.
Right.
Like you are an example and embodiment of what you just shared. Sure. And you mentioned, well, it's another version, another timeline, however you dimension of this. And that transformation is such a huge impact. Like we can hardly even fathom the magnitude of what could happen when something shifts and a whole universe opens up for that person and for the world, forever we're all connected.
Yes.
And this whole thing just opens. And my curiosity is like, we talk about creating a world of love, peace, harmony.
Yes.
We're talking about being catalysts of change. But look around the world, you know, we see the suffering, we see the, you know, the war and the this and everything, all of the pain in the world and the people that they're suffering. So I always like to ask, especially when we have people on the show and just in general, I'm always curious.
Yes.
How do you describe us talking about heaven and earth? How do you describe us talking about creating a world of love, peace, and harmony when we have all that pain and suffering that exists on this earth? So do you have any insights around that? Anything you could share?
You know, I can only give an example. You know, when I was 4 years old, I almost got struck by lightning. And without going into detail around everything that I did, because I did something that I solicited that warning from the heavens. I just remember where I was. My older sister and the other older children were allowed to play what seemed to me as a kid all the way over there in the street. And where I was, there was like 2 streets coming to a V. And there was a field of like high grass in between the street I was on and the other side. And they sounded like they were having so much fun. And it was drizzling and I could hear the thunder. And so I'm the little kid that can't come off the step yelling, ooh, y'all gonna get in trouble. Right. And it hurt that they could have so much fun over there. But I had to stay on the step. And then there was some ways that I was out of order too. There's some things that I had done that I was out of order, right? And so I almost got struck by lightning standing next to a tree right on that step. And it scared the hell out of me. I honestly think that was one of the ways the universe was like, get right, boy. And hey, I'm telling you now what happened to me when I was 4. So that's how much it stuck with me. Wow. I bring that example clear to the question. The suffering is a state of consciousness that is both having to stay on the step and the circumstances that are there on the step and the mind state of the one who is there, the 4-year-old that has been out of order, that needed to be checked by heaven and earth. And I know it's hard to swallow when people say, so you're saying people deserve it? What I'm saying is that there are different challenges that come along with different phases of consciousness. And all of those challenges can be conquered. None of them is permanent. The persecution that we think we see in certain parts of the world could be over by this time tomorrow.
Right.
No one is guaranteed their memory. One of my elders, Baba Comey, used to talk about the persecution of various people, including, African Americans. And he's an ancestor now, rest in peace to him. He used to always look us in the eyes and say, can't we just take their gravity away from them? And that was his way of saying anyone that has a chain, the chain is more mental than it is physical. But where is our mind? Because if there's a law of attraction, then unfortunately, and as disgusting as it seems, there's a aspect to what makes the predator feel so confident when they're around certain people. Well, like I know, they don't feel confident around everybody.
Right.
So that power that changes that relationship comes from the inside out. So now we know that aspect of trusting yourself and trusting the people who might be going through it with you and how well you communicate. See, that's the part of the work that must be done. And if you don't do the work, you may not see the result. Now, a sidebar to that is that, I come from the hip hop world as well. And one of the phrases we used to say is do it to death.
Right.
And even though do it to death was slang for really, really doing it and going all out, to some degree it meant doing it to death, like literally. If something that has to be done to represent yourself the way you really have to represent yourself means leaving the caterpillar to become a butterfly, Earth is like a Greyhound station. It's a visiting place. Live by the quality of your highest self. Don't try to preserve a low state out of the spirit of fear, unless you want to be identified by the spirit of fear.
Right.
Most of the oppressive forces are only acting that way because they're in fear. You know the saying, hurt people what? Hurt people hurt people. So that, how do we teach higher mental practices if we are not acting in our highest mental practices? And so, coming from, like living in North Philly and West Philly and South Side of Chicago and hearing so much of the revolutionary conversation that grows up in the hood, whether it's Nation of Islam conversation or whether it's Black Panther conversation or whatever it is that you get from people who grew up in the 60s and 70s, my uncles and men who are older, women who are older, and hearing some of the hard conversations about people who were in prison for just being associated with people and things of this nature. Oftentimes I would say, I hear all of that, but we still have a responsibility to feel and look free, because surely people fought for freedom. So now, what does freedom look like? You can't just walk around looking like you're in a fight all the time. You got to walk around looking victorious, because that's the energy of the energy of victory promotes more of that energy. So, just to put a cap on that, because there's no absolute answer. These are more like responses than they are answers. But I know my master teacher used to say to me, a wealthy person can roll down a street in New Orleans and see how some of these neighborhoods are torn up. But you look and you hear these people laughing and dancing and through a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
House don't look like it got running water nor heat. But these people are in there having a joyful time, laughing their hearts out, dancing, children running around playing. But then you can drive to one of these big, amazing plantation houses on St. Charles. And the people who are in that house are quiet. The children can barely speak to each other. The adults are miserable. How is it that this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful house, just going by it on a trolley is like super inspiring? The landscaping is magnificent. Every aesthetic, they've got trustful. Everybody is well paid. Their heart ain't peace. They're not happy. They're not celebrating the moment that they're living in. What's going on? Do they understand that they can invite the people who living with the hole in the wall to their house to party? Do they not know that joy is right down the street? Maybe what's stopping them from well, see, here we go. This is part of what we're that story of what's only going on in a mile difference in a city like New Orleans or in Chicago or here in New York. It's happening internationally too. So a lot of the people who are suffering are the soul healers for people who have all of the economic strength and wealth and prestige and status, but they're not really enjoying their lives. But the people who don't have anything have found a very deep and powerful joy. And so there's a lot of getting our act together, and it's a lot of human stubbornness. And ultimately, there's a lot of people who are 4-year-olds stuck on that step that can't wait till they grow up. And they need lightning to come down from the heavens to say, hey, when you grow up with a sense of order, a sense of love, a sense of harmony, and the personality to share it. So I am the child that almost got struck by lightning, hoping that something of what I share with the world can help those oppressive forces back up and say, yo, this greed that I've been enforcing with an iron fist is me functioning in my lower self. And if they can't get it, because some of them can't get it, hopefully their children don't allow the older generations to sabotage their reality. Because that's one of my perspectives on the world, is that what people don't understand about these so-called orders of the world is that it's really old consciousnesses trying to sabotage a world that's supposed to be made by the young ones. And the young ones have to, let their rebellion be real, but also graduate to a harmony that really makes everything all right. Because so many of our grandmothers, and I focus on grandmothers more, would tell us that everything is going to be all right. So now we gotta stand on that and make sure, like I'm the grandson from my grandmom saying, Nana, everything is going to be all right. I got you. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. This is like so profound.
Yeah.
Everything you're sharing and the depth of just the vision of like this house, and this, and it's deeply resonating on many levels. Like I had personally that experience of what I won't go into too much detail, but people watching, some of them know somehow I connected with the Love, Peace, Harmony Foundation through a trip to India. When I went there and I had a similar experience where I was at this slum visiting this girl's home, and it's like, this sheet over a wooden frame was her home, and the water to bathe in was like water in this basin that was just like infested, basically. And this innocent child is walking me through her home with like these beautiful eyes and like so happy and grateful. Oh my God, I could cry just talking about it, because it's like,
it's powerful.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like because it's like doesn't know anything else. And for her, that's her home. Yeah. And it's like so special, and she wants to share it. And so I was so honored that she shared it with me. And at the same time, it was like this thing that just cracked up so many dimensions in the heart, right? Because it's like this whole, there's more that I could bring up than I'm going to right now, because I'm just being in the human realm of like knowing that we have a specific time frame for this episode, but I need to
we're definitely been, and that's the thing about these types of dialogue, is that like, these are people say mind bending, but mind bending is time bending.
It is time bending.
And what I was gonna say, like at the beginning of this conversation, with us meeting fresh today.
Yeah.
So I just came from doing a lot of energy work in Sedona. And of course, they refer to these power points on the land, on the earth grid, as vortexes. And some of the things in my personal life have been feeling like a return to zero. Well, another name for a vortex is a 0 point.
Yes.
So a lot of people, a lot of people are going through things where they feel like everything is crashing or collapsing, and they don't know what to do. They're trying to maintain so much. And it's like, yo, be your best, give your best, but submit to the 0 point. That's what vortex time is. It's submission to the 0 point. A lot of shedding of the personality and the egocentric identity also collapses in that. But don't worry. The winter is the winter so that the spring can be the spring. And this is part of, if we really love life, don't let the man-made world have so much dominance over your process. Mm-hmm. You can only do so much riding on training wheels.
Yeah.
Before you just the way that the bike work really is it honors physics.
Yes.
The fear of how it works when it's working correctly is why the training wheel's there. Because the body is not calibrated to that system of saying the bicycle's going to work. You're not going to fall left and fall right just because.
Yeah.
You can actually be centered and get this thing rocking.
Mm-hmm.
And then, come on now. Imagine who you were if you ever rode a bike with training wheels. And then who are you with a helmet on, riding a 12-speed, down a slope? Whew, wow. Two totally different persons. So this is what humanity is going through. A lot of the fear is still the young child with training wheels.
Mm.
And it is a whole different it is literally a parallel. It's a whole different world for one group of people to be with the training wheels and another group of them to be whizzing by.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The perspective on time and space.
Yeah.
The idea of planning it, to plan your reality based on that level of movement.
Right.
Where I'm going to be, what time I'm going to be there, and how I'm going to show up when I get there.
Yeah.
Amidst my friends, some of my friends used to ask me, they don't ask me as much anymore because I guess they're tired of me. but they're like, man, you always traveling, you got a connection with the airport, and I just let them know, look, I just came to a conclusion. Philadelphia International Airport is open 24/7. I don't have any excuses.
Yeah.
The Atlanta airport, LAX, these airports are always open. I don't have any excuse. You got some place to go. You got things you want to see. I'm I'm big on ritual at the beach. If I'm in Philadelphia, the Jersey Shore is right there.
Yeah.
My conversation with people doing business in the city, cute. My conversation with the Most High and Mother Nature at the ocean, trumps all that. Same thing when I'm in LA. I got a meeting in Beverly Hills, cute. The meeting I got to have at sunset at Venice Beach, whole different level of importance. And it's all connected. It's not either or. It's always and both.
Yes.
So yeah, these are the types of things that I, have made a part of my process, and help me be genuine, so that if I'm invited to a great conversation like this, I can give that type of quality to whoever's listening. Find that river, find that stream, find that ocean, find that lake. Bare feet to the earth, face to the sun. Have conversations from your inner child. All your conversations don't have to be so suit and tie.
Mm-hmm.
You just wear that to work. That's all. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. People know this is
right.
This is a costume.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, everything has its purpose in this position, but allow yourself to know that it's just that you're versatile. That's all. It's just that you have a lot of flavors. But don't forget, that we're earthlings, and if some of the I read a lot of different stuff. So some people are scared that there's going to be an alien invasion. The president, you're right. For real, the president that we currently have, his last term, he created something called what? The U.S. Space Force, right? So like a military wing that's designed to protect us from space. Well, if that's the case, wouldn't that be the most humbling thing to help you know while you were tripping about race, politics, wealth, and da 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 da, you could have been unified Earthlings. But we're taking your planet because you guys didn't manifest the synergy that could have came from treating each other great. Now, don't be wrong. Some of us treat each other great. Yeah. It's our job to keep this trending.
Yes.
You know, the greatest value of any culture is in how people treat each other. That's like a mission statement for Temple of Soul. That's probably the most consistent statement. When people ask, what is Temple of Soul about? That's a key phrase for Temple of Soul. The greatest value of any organization or culture is in how people treat each other. No matter what they call themselves, no matter what type of scripture or book they say is backing their words.
Right.
How do you treat people?
Mm-hmm.
That's the value of your organization.
Yes.
That's it. It could be anything. Nothing matters except how you treat others. You know, and people look like how they treat people. That's another thing. People look like how when you can see it. And some people are carrying. We want that burden to get lighter. That's the thing about love. Yeah. Love can make anybody lighter. Yeah. And some people need to cry. You know, it's almost like it's like philanthropy from the soul, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like the idea of an angel investor, right? Like, you know, like to come into a community and be like, we're bringing $100 million to this neighborhood. Da, 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 da. Well, you know, healers, you know, and people who have joy and stories to share can do it the other way around. Like, yo, we're coming into this super wealthy community to bring laughter, joy, stories, and playfulness because y'all are sitting up in these huge buildings. A lot of y'all miserable. And just like the people in this neighborhood can admit that they poor, they broke, and they struggling, people in these communities got to admit, I'm sad, I'm angry, and I'm miserable. Admit it. Yeah. And then invite joyful people.
Yes.
So, you know, so the work means so many levels to it. You know what I mean? But the world has a lot of healing to do, but I'm perfectly faithful that we're doing a great job. Yeah.
Just hearing.
Yeah. We're not as much from the past as we are from the future. Yeah, and for those of us, me and my just put a cherry on top. For those, everybody has their order, but you know, I'm born in the 70s. In this body anyway. I'm born in the 70s. And one of my bros always says, you know what we are? He calls us 74, right? Those who born in 74. He says we the last of the old, we the first of the new.
Whoa.
You know? So, you know, not only are we ancient ones that resonate with all that hieroglyphic, Sanskrit, Sumerian, Native American, Olmec, Inca, Mayan, all that. But we also from some place that people here would call not yet. We also them futuristic ones that showed up here a little early, like, so we got to help them get it together, huh? Yeah, well, let's help them. You know what I'm saying? What we getting? Is we using tambourines and sing? We using tambourines and crystal bowls today? Bust out the crystal bowls. Get the tambourines. Let's get them. What are the tools for the day? You know, whatever we got to do to help them get it together so that we can have this heaven on earth.
Wow. Well, thank you for saying yes to the mission and for not giving up and for bringing it.
Thank you.
And for saying yes to this and being here today. It's like so profound, and I'm really grateful for this connection and very excited to continue learning more.
Yes.
Checking out Temple of Soul and your teachings and wisdom. It's such a blessing and an honor, and I want to thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And we have one other question.
Sure.
It's a final question for all our guests, and it's if you could be a catalyst of change for one thing in the world right now, what would it be?
For one thing in the world, It would be education. I work with crystals and stones a lot. I'm a wearable art designer. And there's a stone called Laramar, or they say Laramar. Laramar is only found in the Dominican Republic. And Laramar is also referred to as the dolphin stone. And the message that Laramar offers is about information and inspiration communicated through creativity and joyfulness. And it represents a higher harmonic of all information being sweet. So quantum physics, calculus, algebra, geography, world history, language, everything can be communicated in a creative and playful way. And even with my children, my oldest son, just graduated from University of Wisconsin. And I would tell him, he'd be like, man, these tests are killing me, Dad. I would say, when you do your studies, how do you study? He told me some of his study techniques. And I said, my son's a songwriter. I said, write a song with the terms that you're studying in the song. Make it silly. Yes. Words that are difficult to remember, include them with silly rhymes. And continue to sing the song. Record yourself rapping or singing the song and play the recording of your rap, because when you're actually taking the test, you'll remember the song. And the silliness of it, memory is not just in the brain.
Right.
Memory is in the whole being. So to feel the information along the feeling of inspiration is complete. When information is incomplete, it usually results in some level of arrogance, one way or another, meaning that people who have a fraction of the information but still have a graduated position compared to others, well, because of the lack of inspiration associated with the information, they don't want anyone smarter than them to show up.
Right.
So now they become information gatekeepers. But how does that benefit the children? How does the next generation graduate beyond that point? What is it to be an adult that's interfering with the graduation of future generations? And then what is it to be an adult that's actually letting that go down? Right? So these are the things. So for me, none of that would be, all of that would be a non-issue. None of that would be an issue. There would be no adults envious of the younger generation. Let them have their unique metamorphosis graduation, and ultimately let them have the inspiration to go along with the information that gives all of us a brighter deliverance. But yeah, so education. That's the one thing that I would put a love song on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So profound.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need that. And I love what you're sharing about the dynamics between the generations and empowering. There's also this like cyclical nature in what you're sharing a lot of, from the example with the homes, with the wealthy, the poor, from the example with the different generations, older, the young, like this giving and receiving, this connection, this like symbiosis. And it's really powerful, and something I feel like just hearing you share, there's so many ways that we can continue to explore that in our own lives, in our own communities, and in societies, and of course in the world as a whole. So there's so much to dive into. Like this isn't a conversation from and to infinity. I feel like this is a reunion.
Yes, it is.
And I am so grateful for it. And I want to welcome all the viewers, anyone listening, to check out all of the details. We'll make sure everything is linked.
Sure.
And You can connect and check out Temple of Soul, and then anything else that is in the description. And we would love to hear your feedback. What's resonating for you? Please share in the comments. I would love to hear all of your sharing. And do you have any final words for everybody?
Uh, let's stay tuned. Let's stay tuned. I look forward to more conversations whenever it's the right time to bring some more forth. And yeah, I'm here for it. I have a lot to share. I'm excited. And I'm excited to just, I'm glad we made this connection because I'm also a great listener. So I look forward to tapping into not only what's coming in the future, but also things that you all have done in the past, because I'm sure that the people who catch what you're offering have been eating well, And so, yeah, I'm thankful to be at the table.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. And thank you, everybody. We love you. And thank you for continuing to be catalysts of change in your lives, in your communities, in the world. And we will see you in the next episode.